When the killing slowed, the manipulation intensified. By late 1969, the Zodiac had become less predictable, but more dangerous in a different way. The murders slowed. The letters did not. Instead of describing crimes, the Zodiac began threatening them. He promised school bus bombings, he taunted police about hidden explosives, he mocked investigators for failing to catch him. But here's the detail that still unsettles experts. Many of the threats were never meant to be carried out. The bomb diagrams were inconsistent. The instructions were flawed. Some of the technical language was incorrect, which raises a chilling possibility. What if the Zodiac wasn't trying to commit more violence, but trying to force fear to do the work for him? Entire cities changed behavior because of his words. Parents kept children home. Police departments diverted massive resources. Newspapers debated whether printing his letters was ethical or deadly. The Zodiac had learned something powerful. He didn't need to kill anymore. He could simply suggest it. As the letters continued into the early 1970s, something troubling emerged. They didn't all sound the same. Some were sloppier. Some were cruel in a different way. Some seemed desperate, less confident, more erratic. Investigators quietly acknowledged what the public never fully heard. Some Zodiac letters were almost certainly hoaxes. But here's the problem. Once the Zodiac myth existed, anyone could wear it. A prankster, a disturbed individual. Someone seeking attention. Someone trying to redirect police away from their own crime. And police couldn't afford to dismiss any of them. So they chased everything and caught nothing. The case became polluted, not just with bad evidence, but with too much of it. Arthur Lee Allen was far from the only suspect. Over the decades, dozens of men were investigated. Teachers, veterans, engineers, journalists, criminals, neighbors. Some had violent histories. Some lived near crime scenes. Some wrote disturbingly similar letters. But every suspect ran into the same wall. Nothing held up under scrutiny. Fingerprints didn't match. Handwriting didn't match. The DNA didn't match. And the more time passed, the more the evidence decayed, physically and legally. Witness memories faded. Documents were lost. Chain of custody errors stacked up. Justice was slowly timing out. In the 2000s, hope resurfaced. Advances in DNA technology gave investigators something they never had before, a chance to test biological material from the Zodiac's letters. Saliva, skin cells, trace DNA. Headlines promised resolution. Families dared to hope. But the results were devastatingly inconclusive. Some samples were too degraded. Others were contaminated. And some letters, possibly hoaxes, had been handled by countless people. The DNA profiles that were developed didn't match known suspects. Not Allen. Not anyone on file. Which forced investigators to confront a brutal possibility. The Zodiac may have been careful enough, or lucky enough, to never leave usable DNA at all. Or worse, they were testing the wrong letters. In recent years, independent researchers using genealogical databases claimed they had identified the Zodiac. Names circulated. Online communities exploded. Amateur sleuths declared victory. But law enforcement remained silent. Why? Because genealogy isn't proof. It's a lead, a starting point. Not a conviction. Without corroborating physical evidence, without fingerprints, DNA confirmation, or surviving witnesses, the case remains legally unsolved. And no arrest has followed. Once again, the truth hovered just out of reach. Here's the question that makes people uneasy. What if the Zodiac case can't be solved? Not because we lack intelligence, but because we refuse to let go of the myth. The Zodiac has become larger than the crimes themselves, a symbol, a story, a brand. Every new suspect gets framed as the one, every theory promises closure. But closure requires certainty. And certainty is exactly what this case denies. Some investigators now believe the Zodiac stopped killing because he didn't need to continue. He had already won. While theories multiplied, families remained frozen in time. Parents died without answers. Siblings grew old still wondering. Children grew up with a name they were never supposed to know. The Zodiac never apologized. Never explained. never showed remorse. And the system meant to protect people failed to give them resolution. The killer became immortal. The victims became footnotes. That may be the greatest injustice of all. No arrest, no courtroom, no confession. Just endless speculation. Some profilers believe the Zodiac planned this. That he understood police limitations. That he exploited media dependence. That he designed crimes to resist resolution. If that's true, then the most horrifying realization isn't that we don't know who he was. It's that he may have engineered a legacy that could never be undone. The Zodiac Killer still matters because he represents something larger than one person. He represents what happens when fear spreads faster than facts, how media attention can distort justice, how victims can be overshadowed by spectacle, and how systems fail under pressure. This case isn't unsolved because no one tried. It's unsolved because chaos won. There may never be a final answer. No dramatic arrest, no courtroom confession, and no moment where everything makes sense. Just a trail that fades into silence. And maybe that's the real lesson of the Zodiac case. Some crimes don't end. They echo. And the people who live with those echoes were never the ones who asked for attention.